I'm from Ir HaKodesh Tel Aviv, and I'm very inspired to be here. You know, I come to Jerusalem and there's what's known as the Jerusalem syndrome. So I think I have the Joanna syndrome because I'm so inspired by what she does. When she came to my office about a year and a half ago when she was starting this, it's just amazing to see what she's doing. And I think that you guys that are here have in your hands the ability to impact the groups that you bring and the people that you have influence over, to have them really brand and see Israel in a different light. And I think that it's extremely important. Personally, in my reserve duty, I'm an IDF spokesman officer, and a lot of the time we deal with security-related issues, and and when I travel abroad, I see that it doesn't really interest people anymore. What interests people about Israel is, people have their preset opinions about Israel either way, security-wise. It doesn't matter to anyone anymore. You're not going to convince them. You can't be right or wrong. It doesn't matter. To someone in Finland, he doesn't care. But when you show them things that are proactive and things such as the ideas that we see here, that's what they really connect to. Personally, now at my office, I have two people that came to Israel. Both of them are going. One from Brazil, from Sao Paulo. One from Lyon, from France. They have no connection to Israel as Jews or things that you would imagine that they would come here to Israel for. They come because they want to get a piece of the startup nation, which was mentioned, and the innovation and all that. One thing I'd like to go back a second about is back to what Eli was talking about in United Hatzalah. So Zavi was mentioning earlier about Tikkun Olam. What he does, in my opinion, is Tikkun Olam. This guy, he's a full-time volunteer. He has a small real estate business that works for itself, more or less, and he does this completely voluntarily. So it's amazing stuff. Last year they had over 200,000 cases that volunteers went out to. That's crazy. That's amazing. And because of a Meshuggah like him, he is a real entrepreneur. He's a real yazam. What he does and he's impacted the world much more than any high-tech entrepreneur that I know, because he's saved lives. And just think of kol hametzil nefesh achat, and how many lives you save, and how many families don't have to go into poverty as a result of their main breadwinner being saved. And it's just absolutely astonishing, in my opinion. So what do I do? So I run what's known as the Tel Aviv Angel group. I don't have a matzeget, by the way, a PowerPoint, because I'm not going to bore you with one. Today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our story. So my group is composed of several individuals from North America and from England that invest in Israeli high-tech companies, very early stage high-tech companies. They come to us and present to us. We see things in a very wide spectrum of companies, anywhere from mobile internet to agriculture to now we're doing something in semi-health related. So it's just amazing to see how many ideas and how many people in Israel are real entrepreneurs. The Jewish mom used to always want their son to be a doctor or, God forbid, a lawyer. No offense, of course. And now, the main thing is to try to be an entrepreneur. Everyone's striving to be an entrepreneur. Everyone wants to change the world. And people always ask me why that is, and you know what? I really don't have a good answer. I think that it's something that's embedded in the Jewish psyche of people that were persecuted for so many generations. So it's something that's in the back of the brain, they sort of have it, I guess. We sort of have it. That said, it's a very difficult life to be an entrepreneur. You give up stability, you give up financial security, you give up your life, your hours, your social life, of course, and yet these people have to do it. They feel completely passionate and completely motivated to have to do it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the companies that we invested in, but beforehand I'd like to point out something that I'm very proud of is Dr. Eric Sirkin, who's sitting right there. Raise your hand, please. He lives in the real Ir HaKodesh, Tel Aviv, Yerushalayim, sorry, and he moved to Israel a few years ago, 2-3 years ago, from the States. not for religious reasons, but to help Israel. He was a very senior executive in many companies, one of which you may know, Apple. He was director of engineering. And he came to Israel dafka because of other reasons, to see and help Israeli companies. And just 2 days ago, we were interviewed. They're doing a documentary film now. A Startup Nation is actually doing, the book is doing a documentary film. And the last question they asked us was, so what's the next thing? Because, we see a lot of innovation, a lot of ideas. What's the next thing? So we just briefly said the next thing is Israel. And that's what we really believe in. So we get a lot of groups that want to come over. We sit in Rothschild in Tel Aviv. And they, groups such as the ones that you here lead. And I think it's incredibly important that you show them the new Israel, the future of Israel, the future of the world, by the way, which can and is coming out of Israel. And we all know, that, people always talk about the fact that, all these haters of Israel, like Iran and all that, they use Israeli computer, Israeli chips, and Israeli medicine, and so on and so forth. All these things don't matter. You don't need to prove to anyone, in my opinion, that we're either good, better, or it doesn't matter. All you have to do is focus on innovation and actually doing. A few ideas of companies that we recently are involved in. Last company which we just invested in developed a kli. How do you say kli? No kli. Vessel, yeah, for quick heating, defrosting and heating of frozen breast milk. Just one example. Because when you have a small child on you, how many here have recently had to take a bag of breast milk, put it in hot water, and have a screaming child on you for 6 minutes? It takes 6 minutes to defrost, so this would take 30 seconds. It's a big deal. Another company we've invested in has developed a chip for early detection of viral disease in chicken coops, meaning that you could actually help stop the spread of viral diseases. What's going on now in China, for instance. It's coming out of Israel. Company prior to that that we did is developing mobile games for cell phones. Another company we did develops computer vision technology to see the air pressure in cars. That's very, very important when you have a car fleet. So if you could have optimal air pressure in your car, you save gas, safety, and emissions, of course. Other companies we were involved in are in security, different types of computerized security, and we see a plethora of ideas. It's just really, I really think I have one of the best jobs in the world because it's just very, very important. And that said, I'll go back to what I started with. I think that there's a lot of social entrepreneurship in Israel, some of which we will see and hear about very soon. And it's an amazing trend that you get to see now. The same type of innovation is being used, the same chip thing that we talked about that's somewhere embedded in the back of our brains here, is used to people that have different directions and take it to social directions, and it's really amazing what Eli does. Again, I'm on the board of Hatzalah. Eli and I come from completely different worlds. Eli is now probably my best friend in the world. We speak every day almost, except on Shabbat. He doesn't pick up when I call him. And we would never connect in the normal world, but again, through Asiyah, this brought us together. That's it. I will end before my time. Thank you very much for your time. כל הכבוד. רגע. I forgot. I have a very, very short movie which I wanted to show you.